It me reporting whatever the fuck I want.
You don't own me.
Whatever.
You should be scared.
It's tea time. Hello and welcome to Mad Hatter News. My name is Sarah. I'm your host, and what we do here is we talk about everything that's been going viral on my TikTok page the past week. Tea Time with Sarah is my TikTok page. We talk about the news and the government, and we expose a lot of ish on here. So go ahead and follow my TikTok if you really want to see all the things that we're going to be discussing every single week. And definitely don't forget to hit that subscribe bell right now so you never miss an episode. Now let's get into it. Okay, so HBO just came out with a documentary on Renee Bach. She is the 19-year-old girl who was homeschooled her entire life and decided to just go to Uganda with no medical training and put catheters in people and start doing blood transfusions while she made them believe she was a doctor, ultimately killing over 100 children. Now she's free in the United States. She adopted 2 children from Uganda and is back here just living it up. She is a complete example of narcissism and white saviorism. And I hate the term white saviorism because a lot of times it is used in the wrong way and it's very unfair. But Renee Bach is definitely this term. You should open up the dictionary on white saviorism and her face should be there. So what happened was Renee Bach was an 18-year-old girl, and she went with her church group to the country of Uganda. And then the next year when she was 19, she decided to just come back and do it all on her own. She petitioned to Protestant churches in the United States to send her money, and she ultimately received hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from Protestant churches in the United States to fund these experiments she was doing on Africans. The video I posted yesterday has over 500,000 views right now on Renee Bach, and a lot of people have never even heard of this story. She really made these people believe she was a doctor. She didn't specifically say, I am a doctor, but she wore a lab coat and a stethoscope around her neck. She was a homeschooled 19-year-old from Virginia. People who worked in this clinic were saying they would drive 7 to 10 dead children back to their homes and drop them off at the house with no explanation every single week for 8 years. Renee Bach was diagnosing people with AIDS when they didn't have AIDS, administering IVs to them with medicines, writing prescriptions, doing blood transfusions, inserting catheters. The list goes on. And while people were definitely up in arms in the comment section about Renee Bach and how vile of a human being that she actually is, there were a couple people in the comments that were saying, well, she did the best she could. What? The best she could do with her homeschooled training as a teenager would be to stay out of Uganda. That's the best she could have done. Then I had many people who I was shook. I was shook the amount of people who were saying, well, those 105 kids or 100 and some odd kids would have died anyway. So let me get this straight. You think that you can put on a pilot's outfit and get on a plane and fly a bunch of unsuspecting people to France, and just because they land properly, you're cool? That's not how things work. Oh, and if they crash into the water and 10 people die, well, those 10 people were eventually going to die anyways, right? I mean, at some point, we're all going to die. Does that mean I get to kill you? Some of the logic that people use is insane and makes me think we need to take away their right to vote. Like, honestly, I know that we should never take away anyone's right to vote, but if we could, it should definitely be people who comment things like that because their logic is skewed and the fate of our country is in the hands of the voters, right? Not really, because it's rigged. But, I mean, these are the type of people who are among us. It's crazy. But I will say that the majority of the people were not about this at all. They're pissed off about all the things that Renee Bach did, as they should be, but they should be even more pissed that she's not in prison. What she ultimately did was she went into Ugandan court and paid off these parents with about $9,000 each. Yeah. And then now she's back in the United States, just free as a bird. Even if she thought that what she was doing was right, okay? Even if she was just a teenager who went in and got over her head, which is a logical argument. You could say that anybody could kind of get themselves into a horrendous situation, and especially being a teenager, wouldn't know how to get out of it. But wouldn't you think that the first couple months after a couple kids die, you'd think, hey, this might not be the best thing, and go home? Well, she didn't do that because she's not a normal person. She ended up staying for 8 years. That's not normal. And had over 100 children die in her care. These women had no idea what happened to their kids. No idea. They were given no explanation. These women could not read. They couldn't write. They couldn't explain what had happened to them because they had no idea anything about the medical field at all. Neither did Renee, but whatever. And she just got away with it. It's insane. But the most insane thing is the people in the comments defending her. Anyone defending Renee Bach is sick in the head. These pictures of her in a nursery with empty cribs with her arms out, she's just praying to Jesus. That is sick. That's scary. That reminds me of some sort of a horror film. But she really thought that she was doing the Lord's work. She said it was a calling. She said that it was so strong. But she can't really explain it. It just felt right. No, God didn't want you to insert catheters into children with no medical training. God didn't want you to diagnose people with AIDS when they didn't have AIDS. Renee, you're sick in the head, and I know you're free, and I hope you see this video. You're probably not going to, but I hope you see this video on YouTube because you're a horrible person, period. I don't care what you've told yourself in your head. You're a horrible person. Horrible. And you're sick. And obviously highly unsocialized, considering the fact that you were homeschooled your entire life, and the only group you were ever around were other youth groupers. Okay? You're unsocialized and you're narcissistic. Anyways, let's move on from that sick. Let's get into the interesting reason why I think that the government is trying to force us to have kids while simultaneously not taking care of them after they're born, especially in the southern states. We know that women have been barred from having abortions in a lot of these places, in the South especially, but definitely in the Midwest. Well, this week, the federal funding for childcare ended. Now, how does this tie back into the fact that we're being forced to have kids more these days and the government is not taking care of them and federal funding for childcare is ending? It doesn't seem to make sense, but just stay with me because it's about to. Even if you don't have kids, this is going to affect you. So basically, federal funding for childcare is about to end. Actually, it's ending. It ended. Yes, it's ending today. Oh my gosh, it's ending today. So by the time you've seen this video, it's ended already. That means that 3.2 million children will be without childcare, meaning that over 3 million families, or close to 3 million families, will have to either have one parent quit their job or take a lower paying job part-time without benefits, no health care, which we already know we are lacking health care in this country exponentially, but even less people are going to have health care now, or a single family home that has just the mom working or the dad working, somebody's going to have to take a pay cut, like a major pay cut. And families are going to be making less, $9 billion less per year, to be specific. So if families are about to be making less, more families are going to be without health care, and women are being forced to stay home because, let's be honest, the majority of the people who are going to be staying home will be the women. Why would that be happening? Well, I want you to watch this video real quick and then we'll talk about it.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them, as opposed to the other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
Doesn't that seem like an interesting coincidence? That they want to hurt the economy? They want to hurt families. They want to hurt our ability to make money so that we'll be pleading for these shit jobs, that we will be more than willing to go out of our way to drive an hour and a half to work and an hour and a half back just to have a job, and we'll be thankful for it. And we will have to do that because what? We have kids. See how it all comes full circle? That's why they want us to have kids, so that we are chained to our jobs because we have to care for our kids. Most people will just do whatever they can to care for their kids. No matter if they have nothing, if they have a dirt floor in their house, they will do whatever they can to provide for those children. That's how most people are, okay? So the government knows this. They know this about parents. They know that we are going to do whatever we can to make sure the kids have what they need. So they know that they are going to be able to enslave us by doing things like this. It's almost like the top dogs are all working together. It's because they are.
It's so hard from workers saying, I don't want to drive into the city an hour and a half and drive home an hour and a half every day. But I also think a nice little recession will clear this, and you'll see people come back to the office. And
you know, what's really interesting about this country, we are slowly seeing the insidious creeping in of this demonic thing that's happening to the United States. And none of us are even doing anything about it. But we have every right within our Constitution to overthrow this government. They have made a full stop at every single turn to prevent us from doing something like that in this country. But be aware, that is our right. We can overthrow the government right meow. We can do that right meow. But the thing is, we need to have a plan. We cannot be like Egypt from 10 years ago or 12 years ago, where the millennials overthrew the government but then had no plan. So an even worse military regime came in and took over, and it's even worse now. No, we have to have a plan. And if you guys end up having a chat room or something, definitely invite me. That's all I'm saying. And by the way, the kids that cannot be cared for, that they're forcing us to have, they're going to take into the foster care or adoption center, and they'll never be found again. But we won't go down that rabbit hole in this Mad Hatter News episode. But you know, they traffic those kids. Yeah, our government recently has just been giving Plantation Owner, and it's because of how this country is fundamentally set up that allows this to happen. We need to nip this in the bud. We need to, as American citizens, overthrow our government. I'm sorry. I might sound like a radical, but at this point, we've needed to do this as of yesterday. It is long overdue. This country is not okay. It's not okay. And they're not reporting on these types of things. You'll only hear this type of stuff on Teatime with Sarah on TikTok or Mad Hatter News, so definitely subscribe. Ugh, I need some chamomile tea right now. I'm drinking blue jasmine chamomile from WholeLifeTea.com. If you enter my code Teatime, you will get 20% off every order every time. It is a small business based out of Utah with the owner, Noelle, who is a mother of 4 kids, and she's fantastic. She's been an herbalist for the past 11 years, and she picks out everything in these teas by hand. She was just in Japan with her entire family picking out the best matcha that she could find. And she's very serious about getting the best products on her website just for you. And that's why I really trust small businesses so much, because they really put their heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears into their business, and they truly believe in their product and get you the best stuff possible. So that's why I would prefer to give my money to a small business versus a corporation. Well, that's one of the reasons. There's a lot of other reasons for that, but support small businesses, y'all, because corporations suck. Look how blue this is. I didn't even let it steep for that long, and it's still this blue. It's usually darker blue than this, but it is phenomenal. This is such good tea, and I need it because I need to calm down. I'm getting all riled up from these stories. The holidays are coming up, so it is a good gift idea. There are a lot of accessories on WholeLifeTea.com, and again, if you enter my code Teatime, you get 20% off everything, so what you waiting for? Okay, so on to a little bit more of a fun story. There were coins from 60 BC that were just found in the UK, just strewn across a hill. They were found in Wales. And what's interesting about these coins is that they were not buried. They were just kind of thrown across the grass. And the people who found them had been in that area already with their metal detectors for years, and they never found any of these gold and silver coins. But not only that, the coins were immaculately preserved after over 2,000 years. What? How were these coins that are over 2,000 years old immaculately preserved and just thrown in an area where these people had been plenty of times with their metal detectors? There was about 13 coins that they found that had been supposedly exposed to the elements for over 2,000 years. That doesn't make any sense. How did that happen? On these coins was Apollo, the god Apollo, and other symbols and things like that. They do think that these gold and silver coins were not used to actually buy things unless it was a huge item like a castle or something, but they were also maybe traded or maybe given to the gods. They're just assuming at this point. But what is the most insane thing is that these coins were immaculately preserved, and these people had been there plenty of times with their metal detectors and had found nothing. Even if these coins had just been in someone's attic for over 2,000 years, which whatever, that doesn't make any sense in and of itself. But even if it had been in their attic for over 2,000 years, it would have had some sort of a wear and tear. It wouldn't be pristine. It wouldn't be in mint condition. It's almost like somebody had opened up a portal, threw the coins in, and closed the portal again, like from history. It doesn't make any sense. And I know that's crazy, and that's like a conspiracy theorist in me, but I can't think of anything else. Nothing makes sense. How are these coins there? How did they just get thrown across this field and they're in mint condition? It's crazy. They ended up giving these coins to a museum, and the museum has them now. Honestly, I would have kept a couple for myself, maybe sold one, because it's hard out here for a pimp, y'all know. But I just thought that was a really crazy story, and I wanted to mention that in Mad Hatter News, because that's madness. That's madness. All of this is madness, to be honest. Every single story we talk about is madness here at Mad Hatter News. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't ever miss an episode, and hit that like button so I know that you like me. Just kidding. Even if you don't like me, just like it. I don't know. And don't forget to say stuff in the comment section. I know a lot of people watch these videos and then they don't comment. Comment. I want to see what you have to say. Also, I did a really cute bit on convicted criminals in our government. I have a little bit of a series going on TikTok. And so many people in our government have been convicted of crimes and have been in jail, and I just thought it was so interesting. I think I'm going to make a YouTube video just about that, because there are so many and it's so interesting. The trends that I'm seeing them being caught for is obviously CP. I mean, no duh. They're all being caught for CP, especially these days. It's crazy. Soliciting minors, R-wording their staff members, corruption, extortion. I'm definitely going to make a video about that, because it's definitely video worthy. I might even make a series on YouTube about that, because there's so many. I'm just scrolling and scrolling. There's so many. It's insane how many people in our government just use our tax dollars and use their connections to do horrible things while they're elected into office. So definitely subscribe if you want to see that, because I'm going to be posting that too on this channel. What I found very interesting though this week, especially with this video about corruption in our government, is that I'm getting about 20 to 40% engagement on my TikTok videos about the government specifically. My videos about the government are getting that kind of engagement because that's why people followed me in the first place, right? So what I mean by that is if there are 4,000 views on a video and it gets 800 likes or 1,500 likes, that's really good as far as engagement. So you would think with the algorithm, it would push it out even more, but it doesn't. It used to, back when China was mostly in control of TikTok, because China didn't care that we were sharing all of this information with each other. They didn't care that we were talking ish about our government. They don't like our government either, so they don't care, right? But recently, when the government started to realize that TikTok is taking off and the government needs to now defend themselves because of the exposés that are happening on TikTok, myself included, I do exposés on TikTok that make the news. I've exposed people, and within 2 days, the story is on USA Today. It's on Newsweek. It's on CNN. I mean, they're not talking about me, but when my story goes viral, they start talking about the topic, because the people who are reporters are watching TikTok. They are watching to see what the people are talking about, and they're making their news stories based on that. And I know, because I used to be a reporter in Washington, D.C., I know that they do follow these trends. They want to know what the people are talking about so they can actually make stories about it. So I know that I've been a significant force, along with many, many other TikTokers, doing exposés and significantly influencing the media. But the problem is the government has caught on to that. So that is why they started to accuse China of this, that, and the third, so they could take TikTok down, so that they could censor TikTok, maybe not even have it in the United States. We all remember when that thing was going down in Washington, D.C., and there was a court case about that, right? So in order to allow us to keep TikTok, they sent the control of TikTok to a US-based company in Texas called Oracle. Oracle is mostly owned by BlackRock and Vanguard Group. They are the main investors. BlackRock and Vanguard Group own our Federal Reserve. They also are advisors to the president right now, pulling on the puppet strings of our government. They are involved in everything, okay? They own something like $34 trillion in assets. They own more than our national debt as a country. It's insane. I did a deep dive on BlackRock and Vanguard Group a while back, and it is just absolutely insane how much control they have in our country. And you better believe that now that they're in control of Oracle, who is in control of TikTok, that we are being censored, which is why everything I see on my For You page has nothing to do with the government anymore. It's just all weird videos and people selling stuff and girls putting on makeup. Like, that is not what I generally watch. That's not what I like, but it keeps showing up on my For You page. We are being censored on TikTok now, and I think TikTok is going downhill. I called this earlier in the year, and it's just not stopping anytime soon. I think it's going to get worse. That's why it's really important to follow creators like myself on a lot of different platforms, so that the platforms that you usually follow them on, if you only follow them on one, is not censored to where you never see anything from them again. You can, at least if you follow me on TikTok, subscribe on my YouTube. So if you haven't seen my TikToks, you will see my YouTube videos. Also, follow me on Instagram, because I do post on my stories a lot. I use it kind of like Snapchat, but I also post on my stories what shows I have coming up next, which I'm a professional comedian. So if you do want to see me in person, definitely follow my stories. If you live in the Chicago area, you will see me, and come to my shows. I really want to meet you, but don't be weird and a stalker. Thank you. I do have other things I want to talk about in Mad Hatter News, but I think that's going to have to wait till next week because my camera keeps overheating once again. This happened last week. That's so weird. And even when I keep putting it in the freezer, it will not cool down. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do with that. I don't have producers to help me or anything like that right now. I'm just doing all of this on my own. So bear with me, but subscribe for next week because we have a lot more stories coming for you. That kind of sounded scary, but it shouldn't have been. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and follow on my Instagram. And we'll be just seeing you guys back here next time. Bye.